thank you guys all for coming out. We really enjoy doing Second Sunday.
Hi guys. For those of you that don't know me, some of you have been around here for quite some time, but if you don't know me, my name's Amber Cousins. And just to kind of give you some information on me, I am head writer and online content creator here at Transcendence. So a lot of the information you see on the website I've helped put together and create, along with support by Frank, whom you all met a couple months ago. So thank you for all your help, Frank. I appreciate it. But I've been around Transcendence for, I guess, it's almost 3 years now. Time flies when you're having fun. And I met Jess and Susie about 3 years ago at a local show. Jess was speaking, and they were giving away a free intuitive reading, and I signed up. And lo and behold, Susie calls me a week later, and she says, "Guess what? You won." And I was super excited, and I came in and I chatted with Jess, and from there, we recognized in each other a friendship, a kinship, and a shared love of all the things we teach here at Transcendence. And so I signed up for the very first class on manifestation that the girls ever held. And I started to put all of those tips and tricks and tools into practice in my own life. And if you've been around Transcendence long enough, you've probably heard one of my stories about my dark night. I've had a few. In which I found myself without a home, without a job, and without my man. And it was difficult, but I put what I had been learning in my classes here at Transcendence to good use. And I moved through that difficulty fairly quickly, and within the time frame of a month, I had a new job and a new home, and I was loving being independent and single and embracing who I was as an individual. And at that point, I started to work with Jess and Susie about developing my gifts and talents as a writer. And I believe so much in the message that Jess is sharing with the world that I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to help. And so I started helping in my spare time, and eventually I put my manifestation tools into practice. And now I work with the team here full-time, and I couldn't be happier. It's been amazing. And with that being said, one of the things that I take care of full-time is what we call TICA, which is short for Transcendence International Consciousness Academy. It's kind of a mouthful. That's why we shorten it to TICA. But TICA really encompasses all of our online classes, and specifically our favorite class, our light coaching class. And that's a class where you can come and you can learn about yourself and get back in touch with who you are, and really just learn to maneuver through those difficulties of life. And then once you get reacquainted with yourself, you can then turn around and pay it forward and share it with other people and be that light that you needed when you started the program. So I am the contact for that program, and so if you do decide to enroll, you would be speaking with me. And we would love to have anybody that's interested. I'm living proof that what we teach in the program works. And the smile on my face you see because I was in that program. My life is happy and wonderful, and loving it. So, but that's just a brief story about me and who I am, and a little bit about what we do here at Transcendence. So if you guys feel drawn to any of our teachings or what we do here, then shoot us an email, transcendencekc@gmail.com. And we'll be happy to talk to you and get you any information you need or get you signed up. So that's all I got for you.
All right.
And the kind of the message of Second Sunday is just kind of a month at a time, a glance into ourselves and kind of looking at it, retrospect, big, little, and what it kind of means for us all as the times are changing so quickly. I'm sure you guys check in with your astrology reports and all of these things, so you probably have an idea of the things that you're going through that is all perfect alignment with what you signed up for. But the interesting thing about the time right now is first and foremost, I just want to tell Amber how grateful I am for her, because my genius and my gift is to constantly be in the flow of information. That's it. And I'm the messenger. So there's a lot of times where she has to bring me back down and pull what she needs from me in order for us to have like a viable company, because I'm kind of like the weather. It's like I just kind of go wherever I feel the energy, and to be able to be supported by people who allow me to be my genius and be completely ignorant in other areas allows me to feel good about myself, even in those ignorant places. Allows me to feel good not having to go get a degree in business or a degree in writing if I have a story to tell. That's the beauty of co-creation in the universe, is saying, I'm going to stand in my genius, and I am going to fine-tune this, and I'm going to honor this, and I'm not going to try to be all of these other things that I'm not very good at in order to impress someone or be better or be bigger or even spread my message bigger, because again, it's all about doing this together. And then having D-Mike come and kind of be a co-teacher for me has been a blessing. It's allowed me to, spend more time with my children, because he's a phenomenal light coach, as well as all the other graduates that we have. Every single light coach has literally given me the opportunity to be more of a mom and work more on myself, which is very important, because it is one thing to light coach someone, and because you can see the big picture. You can see everything that's going on with them. There's no blind spots. But it's within ourselves that we need someone who loves us enough to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing within you, and let me sit with you in the dark, or let me hold your hand, or let me walk with you, or let me share my knowledge with you, and let me walk you home, which is back to yourself. And so I am in just so much appreciation of this team, because I believe that we all get to be our unique genius here. And we get to really fine-tune that and allow everyone else to take the parts where they are the genius. And believe it or not, if everyone was just being really true to that one part of their genius, we would make a perfect puzzle. We don't have to be the whole puzzle. We're supposed to be that piece. And, as you know, that the last couple of months have been extremely intense energy. I heard myself. Time travel. It's been a lot of intense energy, and especially for me, now that I actually have time and space to work on myself, I'm getting deeper messages, I'm connecting with bigger guidance teams, and I'm living my life, which is, to me, the best way for you to ever find what needs to be worked on is to live. It's not about studying the books and taking the classes and taking the workshops. It's about getting your hands dirty and living life and being vulnerable enough to fall in love and fail at it, or fail at, something that you think you're failing at, even though you're just having experience. Going after something that you want, showing up and deciding that you don't want it. That's part of this journey too. It's diving all the way into being vulnerable of what you choose, and allowing yourself to constantly change that and evolve that and grow that as you go, just like the planet does. There is so much knowledge that we can learn by just watching nature. I spent the morning just this morning looking out on the balcony watching the geese in their little mating season of the springtime, and the way that they talk to each other, and the bickering, and then the family units, and all this little thing that goes on, and I'm going, there's just absolutely no difference when we as people are in alignment to nature. We are there to mix it up and sort it out, and to fall back in love with ourselves and each other constantly on the journey, just like nature does. And just like nature, nature goes through a death and a rebirth constantly. And see, the symbolism of Easter is not about a resurrection of one thing happening. It is about every single time that you've died and come back from it. And when I say die, what I mean is whenever your heart's been broken, whenever you lost something, or you lost someone, or when you have put all of your efforts into something and you realize that it was just the effort that was the lesson, not necessarily the fruit of the picking. So this is where our vulnerability comes in, and we can honor nature as watching her do this in complete grace. Nature goes through her death experience and her life experience constantly in order to renew. And every dark night of the soul that you've ever had was a death. And from there, what you got was you got inner strength, you got compassion for yourself, you got humility for yourself, you begin to honor yourself, and then you begin to stand up and rise again as a higher version of yourself. So the resurrection actually is defined by every time you have those dark nights and you rise, you become more aware. And we know that awareness is at the basis of consciousness. We know that awareness is the only spiritual journey that you ever need go on, is becoming more aware of yourself, becoming more aware of yourself. And April showers bring May flowers. So if any of you out there are experiencing the showers or the storms or the dark nights, just know that you are doing much more than just having that storm. There's seeding, there's germinating, there's planting, there's desire, there's creation happening within that storm. And as the sun comes out, which we got to experience a little bit yesterday here at Transcendence for the first time, and we all rushed out to be part of that, you can actually integrate. You know, the storm is about where you hold on, you reflect, you look at what you have to work with, and you do your best to get through that storm. The storm isn't where you contemplate and integrate. The storm is where you hold on for dear life and then realize and self-actualize as the clouds part and the sun comes up. So if you're finding yourself in that place, don't belittle yourself because you can't figure out why you've manifested or why you've attracted something. You're in the storm. It's about thriving and surviving. It's about seeing how strong you can be and how you can hold it together, and how that subtle voice is starting to get louder, isn't it? And saying, I don't deserve this. I'm better than this. I know how to plan for these storms now. I know that I can take shelter and that I am not wrong for taking shelter. I don't have to go fight this storm anymore. And then in that loving, nurturing position of yourself, you can go within and you can look at that whole process that has unfolded, and you can take stock and really, really realign within yourself. And the beautiful thing about it is the storms is usually where our purpose is birthed. The storms, the chaos, the conflict, the loss, the judgment is usually where we discover our true strengths. We discover our true gifts. You know, one of our life coaching students, graduates, Kara, who is a nurse, and she's already a saint for being able to do that. She works with cancer babies and children. And she has been finding herself surrounded by a lot of teen suicide in her community over the last couple of years. And she finally came to me in class the other day and she said, you know, I think I'm supposed to be a grief counselor. And I was like, absolutely. I mean, she's doing it every day at work, holding space for these families that are losing their children. And then she's attracting it into her universe and her own community. If that's not synchronistic for you to discover your true purpose, I don't know what is. But instead of her coming and saying, you know, what's going on, all of these people are, you know, losing their kids to suicide, she said, she stepped into her power, birthed by that storm, and said, I think I would be really good at this. And so that is a reflection of why we even create the storms to begin with, is so we can discover and remember ourselves. Remember, put back together. You know, there are certain people that are literally gifted on this planet to help people transcend into other dimensions. There are people here who are literally have the DNA capability to help someone through grief, help someone through pain, help someone manifest, going from being homeless to, you know, living with a bunch of crazy women in a 7,000 square foot home. You You know, I mean, that's proof. Oh, and yeah, the Nutty Professor. But that's the point, is this webinar that I did a week or so ago that was gifted to me by some of my guidance team was about, you know, educating light workers or helping light workers remind themselves of the story of Earth and basically our come-up story, our de-ascension to our re-ascension. And de-ascension is basically when we drop out of awareness and consciousness and out of that quantum photonic energy down into density, and we have a very dense experience where we experience duality. And in that webinar, as it began to unfold, I realized that the whole webinar was about loving the duality of our journey, because it's the storm that we need in order to have the harvest. It's the rain that we need in order to eat. So it's really the storms of our lives that are going to be able to teach us the most, grant us the most compassion, the most strength, and the most ability, the biggest ability for us to remember what in that storm we have to work with within ourselves. You know, there's nothing like conflict or trauma to look around and discover what you're made of. Discover what you have to work with. Discover what tools you have. You know, when something is broken, it's a natural process for you to want to fix it. And your brain's entire processing system is to problem solve. That is the gift of your third dimensional brain, is to be a problem solver. So when there's a problem, your brain immediately goes into what ideas, solutions, memories, observations it has to work with in that very moment to utilize and create a more comfortable situation. Now you notice I didn't say create a better situation or create a new situation, because your human brain is based on literally allowing you to move out of the problem and back out of pain and into pleasure. And the wholeness of you. See, we're only using about 10% of our brains when we live this way. But when we start to become more aware and conscious, and we start to understand that our body is a mechanism for manifestation, it is our chemical biosuit that allows spirit to walk on the planet. That is what our bodies do. And our brain is that supercomputer that navigates us and keeps us focused here. It keeps circumstances intoxicating. It keeps problems alive. It keeps you focused on what you've created. But that's not who you are. Who you are is the entire universe. Who you are is access to every ounce of information that has existed and that will exist because of you. You are your Akashic records. You are the quantum field of possibilities. And for a short time, you get to pretend that you're not. But as we awaken, we realize that we can access more of ourselves by being more aware of the game we've created. And the game of duality is understanding that the storm is where the gift actually resides. And if you follow Transcendence and you're on Quantum Life, or if you've worked with any of our coaches, you know that we call ourselves shadow hunters. And not because we believe that you have to go heal a shadow. Shadow hunting came from a problem that needed to be solved. I was a life coach, and every person that came to me couldn't get past their own dark sides. They couldn't understand why they did the things they did when they knew in their heart who they were and what they wanted to be. So just like Kara decided to birth a purpose out of a circumstance, I decided that I was going to be more beneficial and helpful as a life coach to actually go into the dark with someone and help them discover that storm and show them how that storm was the very catalyst that they would need in order to create and manifest their desires. Because the process of duality is, if you're wanting to eat, you got to first be hungry. If you want to be a star in the sky, you have to be surrounded by the dark. This is something that we actually continue to choose until we choose to look at duality differently. And when we choose to look at duality differently, duality will change. But when we look at, oh, every time something goes good, something goes bad. You know, I just planted my flowers and now it's hailing. You know, fill in the blanks. This is the duality of our lives. And when we look at that and say, ooh, what can be birthed from this annoyance, this pain, this trigger, this bad feeling, this emptiness? What can be birthed out of that? What is this emptiness actually telling me about myself? Not that I need to fill a void, but I need to understand what the void means for me. And this is where, when we go into that darkness with each other and we sit with ourselves, we can show each other those blind spots that I was talking about. And I would say that on my journey, it's been very lonely because I've had a pattern of every time something goes wrong in my universe, I go deep, deep, deep within. And you can go very deep and still have a blind spot. It is our relationships that shine the greatest light on the things about ourselves that we need to learn. It isn't about going all the way in where you absolutely know the truth of who you are. Your game would be over. Because what happens is we go into that higher perspective when we remember that we're God, we remember that we're divine creators, and so we don't actually acknowledge what's going on in our third dimensional lives. We don't give it enough credit. And we go into that higher perspective and we say, well, it makes sense, and this and this and this, and then we move into our spiritual ego, and we don't actually go in and sit with the situation. You know, I mean, very, very easily, Kara could have said, well, I understand the death process. I understand that all death is chosen and that people sign up to have issues and die to teach each other lessons. And that would have made her heart feel more at ease about the things that she had attracted. But instead, she went deeper within herself and said, something's got to change. There's got to be counseling for people who don't know what I know. There's got to be someone there that will help someone with that blind spot of understanding what's actually going on in a way that they can understand it. And that is what we're all here to do together. So the resurrection process is about your life and death process that's happened probably 1,000,000 times so far since the day you were born. You're constantly shedding, you're constantly being rebirthed. And just like we celebrate Valentine's Day on the 14th of February, that's the day that we give love its props. Love is every day, right? It's all day, it's everything. So if we're talking about a resurrection, what we're doing is we're giving resurrection its props. So we're going to hide some Easter eggs, and then we're going to have some chocolate, and no matter what you do in the rest of the planet, that's what we do here in the United States, and we go to church, and we learn about the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And the truth of that, if you honestly break down the Bible into metaphysics, into quantum theory, you will understand as he was basically giving you the tools of what you're going to be doing. He was like, okay, now this is how it's going to work. You're going to get crucified, and then you're going to come back. How many times have we been crucified and come back? So many times. From the guy that cuts you off and blames you for it, to getting shorted out of something, to not getting the job opportunity that you wanted. And the cool thing about Amber, what she didn't share with you in her story, was when Amber came to us at Transcendence, her heart was so ready. Her heart was so ready to accept herself. She was really ready to connect with self-love. She was she's probably one of the most hardworking people I've ever met. The most loyal friend you could ever imagine. Dedicated girlfriend, you know, the girl doesn't do anything that's just not amazing. And she sat in my office and wept and said, I just want to be happy. And we know that when we set that intention, what we're doing is we're activating the storms that need to be produced in order to reap the seeds and the flowers of happiness. And so over those coming weeks, she lost her job, she lost her boyfriend, and she lost her home. And she went through storms because her intention to connect with happiness was underneath all of those things. What she was seeking was herself, her own freedom, her own self-love. And the universe created the storms to come in and take everything that was not in alignment with her heart's desire. So when we're going through storms, remember this story, because Amber is living proof. She's found the man of her dreams. She gets to be an amazing co-parent and bonus mom in a great house, work with amazing people, pretty much make her own schedule, and kind of be the boss. She's kind of my boss, because otherwise I would be completely lost. and this was a very short time. But the one thing that she did was she never gave up on herself. She never said, "What's wrong? This is wrong. This storm is wrong." It's like when you set that intention, you put that treasure map in place, and on that treasure map there is going to be those dark forests and those lions' dens and all of those things that are going to strengthen you and bring true compassion and true grace out of you so that you can actually become that person you say you are. That is the story of our ascension, is for us to become the versions of ourselves that we know inside of our heart. And we have to walk through those fires and maneuver through those storms and get really intelligent about our own awareness and be humble enough to look at the aspects of ourselves that are holding us back and seek help. You don't have to do this alone, which I'm learning. I literally pulled my roommate this morning. He's having a boy problem. And pulled her in my room this morning, and I'm like, I need some life coaching right before second Sunday. Because that's what we're here for. That's what we're here for each other. And each and every one of us make that different puzzle piece that ignites the all and becomes one puzzle. Your piece is just as important as everyone else's piece. And your life will get really fun when you start looking at every storm as a piece of your own puzzle. See, it's not the joys and the happy moments where you really discover your purpose. It is in those storms, because every single one of you that can hear my voice is here on the planet to be of service to others. That is why you came. You came here to experience love by the giving and receiving, and you came to be of service. There is not one person that I've spoken to in 7 years that I said, well, what do you love doing? I love helping people. And I can guarantee you, at the basis of everything you've ever done for a living, that was your highest joy, was the aspect of getting to help someone or explain something or teach someone or see someone smile. It was never the job itself. The job itself, the house, these are all symbolic things that we do in order to feel that connection with people and feel the connection with ourselves. And we put way too much emphasis on the job and the stuff, and not enough emphasis on what it's all teaching us constantly all the time. And with every storm, just like what April represents for this particular month in our astrology, is it's about finding balance of that. It's not about all or nothing anymore. It's not about go all the way in and set yourself up for failure. It's about going easier with yourself. You know, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses right now? Like D. Mike was saying, what do I have right now to utilize to get me to my next step? That's all you need this month. April is about finding balance between your masculine and your feminine energy. Your cause, your effect, your yin, your yang, your dark, and your light. Finding that balance point for yourselves this month. Because the energy that's hitting you is going to be intense. The patterns that are going to be showing up are going to jab you like a jailhouse shank. And it's going to be you to go, okay, I'm fully present that this is happening, I accept it, and I am here to only find balance in this moment. I'm not here to necessarily fix this storm, I'm here to find the balance. You're here to find something to latch onto in that flood and float out. Because when you're in the flow, the universe will take care of that storm in the perfect way for you. Your job is just to ride it out. And the more balanced you are, the more you'll notice that you're in the flow and you're not in resistance of it. You know, if you're projecting a lot of your masculine energy, you will notice that you're going to resist some of your storms. And if you're pushing a lot of your nurturing or feminine energy, you're going to notice that you don't feel like you have the power to make it through that storm. So it is about finding that balance point, or that 0 point in quantum mechanics that we understand is where you really are. It's that point of neutrality. It's that point of knowing yourself that you could go this way or this way, but the beautiful thing is you have a choice. You could look at this storm as a negative, or you could look at this as a catalyst. And in that moment that you choose to look at any storm as a catalyst, you no longer are in resistance of duality, and you own duality. You're utilizing duality for your own progression of your own ascension process. Each time that you welcome that into your world, you create that alchemy, because every time we shine light on darkness, we integrate. We become those things that we fear the most and integrate them back into love. So as we've had some things happen on the planet, you know, if you watch that box thing they call a TV, then you're aware that there's some boys with toys playing around this planet. Well, March and April are an action month. Somebody's taking action. Action is being demonstrated right now. It's no longer negotiating and talking. Someone's going, what does this trigger do? Let's push it. Where do you need to push your trigger? Where is fear still governing your life? Where is guilt still governing your life? Because those are the two vibrations that just created what happened on the planet. Guilt and fear. Those two vibrations accelerated the manifestation of us to look outside of us to know that the war within that we fight is actually in full effect. That's all that was demonstrated. And that is the higher perspective, and that helps me sleep at night, just FYI. But at the same time, I understand that to every macro that I am the micro of that existence. And if I can see it, and it's in my reality, then I am somehow in vibration of that. So I said, I don't want my children to have to grow up and see any of this, so what storm, what war can I go in and handle differently instead of attacking myself? How can I love myself? How can I create peace? Because every thought and experience that you have gets put into the quantum field of possibilities, and maybe not you, but someone will pluck that very seed, that very fruit from that quantum field and take action on your desire. We were talking about that in Tika the other night. How many ideas, how many genius ideas have you had that you didn't take action on, that very soon after that you watched someone else who had those 20 seconds of divine courage and said, I'll do it. That was put into the quantum field that we all get to share. We all get to share every potential outcome. And what our highest excitement is about plucking from the quantum field of possibilities our expression of our own excitement and joy. What projects could you work on this month that you've been saying, well, the storms keep coming? Storms are a great time to go inside and write. They're a great time to go in and reflect. They're a great time to call a friend. They're a great time to observe nature. Instead, we really don't want to be doing the opposite of what we've been doing, which is observing and judging. Looking at our duality and resisting it. Anticipating a storm that doesn't exist, and then creating the storm by a default of putting it into the quantum field. Worrying about what could happen instead of just running right for it. In Tika, we even talked about this last couple of weeks is everybody getting on a healthy food and wellness plan, because you're going to need your bodies to become superheroes. You ever seen a superhero that wasn't just a big brain walking around, that didn't have a strong body? That didn't have a healthy ability to be strong enough to go rescue someone? So that was another aspect of our becoming, because again, just like Amber said, I want to be happy. You've all said, I want to become my higher self. I want to become the best version of me. And every storm that you're experiencing right now is a byproduct of the unfolding and catalyst that you need in order to become. And being strong and confident in your own body and aware of what it needs helps you move faster. Because if you don't know what your body needs to eat, or that your body is shrinking when you don't exercise, then you're not going to be able to use your intuition as divinely as you could. You're not going to have the strength to be of service. You're not going to have the memory of your Akashic records as fluidly with a body that's toxic. More light in, the more light out. Lighten up. We're moving into summer. Everyone wants to get bikini ready anyways, right? Us spiritual teachers like to rock our bikinis, yes. This year we will. But it's not even about that. It's about feeling good in your own body again. It's about feeling like you can just get up and have the energy and the confidence to make it through a whole day of whatever life gives you, instead of figuring out how you're going to manage getting through your day. How you're going to, what negotiations you're going to have with the body in order for you to get from point A to point B. It's about just going for it and not having to worry about the small things of third dimension, like a body that doesn't feel well. Find out what your body needs to eat for you, because that will be one less thing that you have to worry about and one less question you have to ask. Do you know what I'm supposed to eat? What am I supposed to eat? When I eat this, I don't feel good. When I eat this, I feel good. Oh, I'm eating this for emotional reasons. Okay, I have places that I can work on. I have coaches that I can work with. It's really about getting down to the baseline of simplifying this whole journey and getting out of this spiritual dogma of it needing to be some magical event, when the most magical experience that I can recall over the last 6 months is waking up every day pain-free. Having my kids be pain-free, having my kids be able to run around outside, having family that is around me that loves me. That's the real magic that we're waiting on. Not the big, mothership that's going to land in your backyard and give you the keys of the universe. And what they're going to do is they're going to show up, they're going to get out and go, tell me the keys of the universe. They're storing that DNA stuff. That's why we're here. That's literally what they're going to say. I don't know, we're coming to find out from you. You got 12 helix of DNA that have the storage of the entire universe locked within your cellular body. And if you just knew yourself better and trusted yourself better and utilized everything you manifested as a catalyst to become, you would be like, okay, well, this is the story of the universe. And they'd be like, wow, well, that's why we're here. Because Earth is the living library. Every gemstone, every rock, holds secrets of this entire universe, and you are a micro of the macro of this earth. So you contain within your very body every bit of stardust from the beginnings of time. That's how magic we are. So right now it's about balance. Today, I'm sorry to say, and excited to say because it's our storm coming in, first day of Mercury retrograde. Woo! What does the Mercury retrograde do for us? It exposes those blind spots. It amplifies storms. It's that electromagnetic energy that gets your blood boiling, fires on, and gets you moving. That's what it's for. We need these times. We need this help from our planetary alignment in order for us to stop focusing on what the TV is saying and start focusing on the war within ourselves and start doing something about it. You have the power right now to end every single war that you've ever witnessed or read about, all within that war that you have inside of you. That conflict of self-judgment. That conflict of, well, I know I should be doing this, but I just keep doing this. That is really the only job you have. Your divine purpose is to love yourself unconditionally and take good care of yourself so that you can take care of other people and show them how to love themselves unconditionally. That's everyone's divine purpose, and how we act that out is unique to our own cool soul signatures. It's the thing that gets us excited. It gets us amped up. It gets us into the frequency of higher self, which is excitement, passion, love, gratitude. As soon as we're in that frequency, we can move with the universal energy because Earth has ascended. All 12 dimensions reside now, fully activated, on Mother Earth, which means it's time for us to update our software by becoming what we know and learning how to use ourselves, learning how to use our intuition. Knowing that something that's coming up within you that you've never seen before is brand new for you to give to the world. I got to witness this with Katie. You know, she's a graduate of TICA, and she's been on a journey to basically, I would say that her journey is just absolute joy, creating absolute joy for herself and others. And in this discovery of herself and healing the things, her own judgment, she has uncovered that she is a divine healer. And it started subtly, and as she began to trust it and work with it, she realized that she was playing with something that was brand new, that she couldn't find a book about, she couldn't Google it. It was something that was being birthed within her as she remembered who she was. And as she actually trusted herself and showed up and practiced it, take action, she realized is that when she did certain things were a result of it, and healing occurred. And that is something that takes a lot of faith, because when you're doing something new for the very first time that no one's done before, it's very easy to judge yourself. Well, I might be doing this wrong because I don't know what this is called. But from the first day we met Katie, I said, you're a healer. And now she knows that for herself, and she has that belief system. And once you have that belief system solidified, the knowing is there, and you no longer have to think about it. You just show up, and the perfect thing unfolds in the perfect moment, because all you ever need to do is show up. So how's everyone? Good? Do we have any questions? What? Every month? Guys, I know I'm not hitting everything here. Well, we also have a full moon on the 11th, and what does the full moon represent, right? It's kind of the manifestation or the byproduct of the deliverance of the ultimate awareness package to you. It's also an opportunity to begin again. You know, look and observe your creations for the month. You've moved into full awareness. You're being illuminated by the moon herself to show you exactly who you are. And with the Mercury retrograde today, the 9th, full moon on the 11th, really close together, it's a really great opportunity to take this next week to really just create really awesome balance for yourself. Balance at work, balance with the kids, balance within your body, balance within those relationships that feel like they need to be wiggled out or changed. You don't have to change the relationship, you just have to find the balance point in it that resonates for you right now. And as we move into May, we'll have a whole new set of, tools and opportunities. And really, when you think about it, when you're at a 0 point, when you're at a tipping point, you can go this way and you can go this way. And really the difference is one step. One step is all that you need right now in order to change your entire life. Pull the plug in the relationship. It may feel like a bigger step than just one, but it could be the very thing that takes you to the crossroads of moving into the divine purpose quicker. Because I know that's what we want. And unfortunately, impatience is a byproduct of hidden fear. So the more impatient you are about your journey, the more hidden fears that you have that the universe isn't getting it right. But the universe is always on time, and the less patience you have, the slower the universe will go on purpose, because one of your jobs is to learn that you never need patience when you're in the flow. And if you do need patience, that's an indicator that you aren't in alignment. And so you can look at that from a place of resistance, or you can look at that as a place of humility and start acting on that connection with the universe. Because learning how to communicate to the universe is much like learning how to communicate to yourself. And when you can learn how to talk to yourself, then you know exactly what the universe needs and wants from you. What do you need and want from you? What are you not giving yourself that you're giving to someone else in the hopes that they will then give it back to you? This is what we usually do. You're finding you're not getting it from someone, it's because you're supposed to give it to yourself. If you find yourself not being seen and heard by someone, it's because you're supposed to see and hear you. If you're not being nurtured in your relationship, it's because you need yourself. You need to love yourself. And if you don't feel safe, and you need to create that safety within your own heart before you will feel safe in any storm. So, no questions? No online questions?
I have something
Kara!
John. It's not really a question.
Okay.
You kind of talked about the boys and their toys happening in the world.
Boys and toys happening in the world, yes?
Maybe expand a little bit about, because I know there's a lot of people in having different emotions and things come up and triggered because of that going on. Maybe talk about how that reflects back to you.
Well, regardless of whether you were like, yeah, we just bombed a place, or oh, we just bombed a place, again, which side are you on? It really doesn't matter because it is your own perspective of your own personal universe. The triggers are the guides, which means if you were triggered positively or negatively by that event, there's a message waiting for you that has to do with you. Okay? If you felt like that bombing was us taking our power back, if you fall into that category, because it is your own unique universe, you could take that as, oh, I'm taking my power back. Now, if you felt like we were not taking our power back, then you would have those sets of triggers to work through, because each and every one of us are going through a completely different ascension process than the next person sitting next to us. Which means the way that I'm going to ascend through my life, the triggers that I'm going to need, the storms that I'm going to need to fully remember and actualize myself are going to be completely different than D-Mike will need in order for him. Which means that if I said, here, have this storm because it really helped me, it may not help him. It may actually hurt him. You know? When I tell people that I came to Kansas City with $90 and 3 little girls and said, I trust the universe will take care of me, right? In that moment, I was leaning toward the perspective of I have unwavering faith in the universe. Now, someone looking on the outside in at me would say, that is an irresponsible parent, right? That is craziness. But for me, my personal storm of having to take those 20 seconds of courage and getting on that airplane with basically just 2 bags and 3 little girls was my moment that I did the tipping point in the direction of my joy, the direction of finding myself. And I had no idea if I was going to fail, if I was going to come back. All I knew is that if I didn't start walking in the direction of my own excitement and joy, then I would always just be in the desire of wishing I could have it. And I would rather fail miserably than never be able to at least experience trying. And the cool thing about that is the frequency of kind of that humbled compassion for self and faith, unwavering faith, it actually creates like a red carpet situation where you get to walk down your own red carpet to your own reality and get to teach about it. I mean, that's what we get to do now. It's like we get to teach how we're homeless and now we're here. And it's not about what we have. It's about the faith of creating home first within us. Because see, that's what D-Mike was saying is he had everything he needed because he was home. And because he was already home, it was easy for him. Maybe not from the outside looking in or how he saw himself in that moment, but because he was in the vibration of, I know I'm home, then the universe had to place him in a home. It had to gift him exactly what he believed about himself. And you couldn't be more loved here, right? And so that situation is a perfect manifestation of build the home here first. Not the brick and mortar, not the perfect relationship, not the perfect children, not the perfect business that's going to give you the perfect home. It's building the home right here. And you do it with balance and balance and balance. Because you know when you're building a house, it's all about balance. You got to get that structure balanced so it doesn't tip while you're adding new pieces. So foundation is there always, which is your home resonance of your own truth. And my truth will be different than D-Mike's truth, and that is okay. My truth will be different than your truth, and that's okay. You're supposed to honor what you see on the news and say, Does this expand my consciousness or separate me from my own knowing? Does this expand me or contract me? And if what you watch on the news contracts you, you've got some work to do. And if it expands you, you've got some work to do. Which means moving in the direction of that. I know that all of this stuff has birthed a new purpose for me working with veterans. Working with getting them rehabilitated and back into their families. Because of the way PTSD works with the human body and the human consciousness, there really needs to be help for these people because they cannot find their way back home without us. And the very reason why they went into the military, regardless of what you think about it, was for your freedom and for their freedom. They had an intention there. I want to create freedom. They didn't know what they might be getting themselves into, and they didn't know they weren't going to be honored on their way home. And so that has birthed a new process for me to want to help rehabilitate them and help them through PTSD, because as a child, I had such a severe case of PTSD. I know what that's like. And again, just like that storm, it birthed part of my purpose. See, everything that's happening in the world is putting you in the seat of your divine purpose. So look at what about this makes me come alive? What could I do to change this? What could I do to heal this? Birth, 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 birth. This is exactly where we need to be. We are in the perfect position for everything to be in total alignment of our ascension within 15 generations of now. Which means that your bloodline, grandchildren's, grandchildren, grandchildren, grandchildren's, will be like, oh, you guys used devices called phones? Yeah, we just use our mind. And it's really awesome, and you know, we're happy all the time. And, you know, it's pretty awesome here. I mean, if you look at how quickly technology has evolved in the last 50 years, imagine what it will look like in 50 years from now. The cool thing about it is we'll be using green technology, we'll be using free energy, and we'll be using light, because out of the contrast of us burning through our natural materials, we are giving birth to solutions on how to have everything we want naturally, which is exactly why we needed to create that contrast. So, question.
Stephanie would like to know, how do we help ourselves not get sucked into other people's storms and dark nights?
Great question. Great question. We're all professional at this, aren't we? We're really awesome at just diving into someone else's storm. And one of the reasons why is because we don't want to look at our own. And maybe we can't look at our own because the blind spots are within our own storm. And I can see your storm, so I know I can help you with your storm. That's why. We get sucked into it because we can see the big picture. We can see all the potential. We can see everything that they have, every tool they have to work with, and we can guide them. But what we need to say in that moment is, if I'm so focused on your storm, what's going on with weather within myself? And say, there's a storm going here that I haven't been looking at, and this would be an opportunity for me to ask for help, because I can't see it. And that's why I've been avoiding it, and I've been suppressing it, and I've been resisting it, and I've been turning it off so I can hear yours more clearly. But the truth of it is everybody is supposed to be responsible for their own storms. And have you noticed that you really can't fix their storm anyways, no matter how hard you try or exhaustion you utilized? You can't fix someone else's storm because they created it for themselves to uncover divine purpose through contrast. They created it for themselves. They're asking you, hey, I really need help with my storm, but they're also the same person who doesn't know what their human body needs to eat. So this is why we're in the business at Transcendence of education. It's let's teach someone how to deal with the storm instead of going in and fixing the storm. You know, don't give them an umbrella. Teach them exactly what tools they have within themselves to create shelter and magic from that storm. So we're in the business of educating people back into remembering who they are. So that would be my answer for that.
I'd like to add, it's Susie here, that you recently helped me with a hailstorm that I was going through.
Susie went through a hailstorm, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things, and the person that it was going through with was not awake, and so I was been going through this for like months now, and you helped me realize that it's their awakening and they have to do it, and no matter how angry and how upset I get with the whole thing, it's their problem, and you help me go into nature and surrender to the solution or surrender to the problem. And as soon as I did that, the next day, everything about that problem was just like resolving itself.
And that's the beauty of it. Is it as soon as you surrender someone's storm back to themselves, it usually takes care of itself. Because you're actually keeping gasoline on the fire. Literally. You're amplifying it. You can't put the fire out. Every time you try to, you actually just make it worse. And so surrender is the biggest gift that we have in any moment when you don't know what to do. It is that moment that as that zero release auto point where God says, all you have to do is surrender, or whatever you call God. Just surrender and let me take this from here. And what she saw within 12 hours is the people who needed to be responsible from the storm stepped up. Because that's what happens. It's when you stop trying to heal everybody's storm, they can step up and go, well, I don't want to be uncomfortable, so I guess I'm going to do something about this. And that's exactly what happens. But being of service and taking over someone else's journey is two very different things. You are not here to heal anyone. You are here to remind them that they are healers. Yes?
I have also found, kind of to add to that, is when people bring their storms to me, I'm really there just to hold space for them, but there's also a message for me in that storm.
Yeah, when people bring you their storms, which they love to do that, your job is to hold space, reflect back to them their higher perspective maybe, and also take the little nugget, the seed that has been planted in your own consciousness of a little side storm for yourself, especially if it triggers you. Yes?
That's where, that's kind of, it was along the same lines as if we mirror each other and say, you come to me with your problem and I can see your answer, shouldn't that also give me my answer?
Absolutely. I would say that I probably healed about 70% of my PTSD by life coaching others through the same exact events I went through. In the moment of being there for someone else and giving them the advice that I need to give myself, I therefore gave myself the advice.
Right.
And so a lot of magic happened from that. And that's why in Tika, the first 3 months are about you life coaching you. It's about you healing you and you getting back to that 0 point and rebuilding that foundation and finding balance and remembering who you are and working through those shadows so that you can really be of service. Because otherwise, it's false service, because here you are trying to rescue the world when you're the one asking for the life vest. Frank?
Talking about balance, I can see balance applying across the full spectrum of our experience. But, I mean, within relationships, balance of masculine and feminine, and enjoying the masculine essence and the feminine essence, but enjoying the synergy of it for balance. And then within each of us, whether man or woman, we balance our masculine and our feminine. And that is our awakening.
It is. Balance. Because in the balance point, you find your middle point, and you're always the neutral point. It's always like I say, when you look at beautiful music, the reason why the music is beautiful is because there's a space between every note. You are the space between those notes. You are that balance point. You are that point of neutrality that has the opportunity to decide whether something is a storm or a rainbow, depending on how you look at it. So, any last question? Well, I just want to thank you guys so much for coming back month after month and hearing the message, and everyone online that takes part and listens to us and follows us on Quantum Life and signs up with our amazing coaches and joins us in Tika. And I always say that if anything that we say resonates within you guys, you're probably here to kind of work in the same realms of being that messenger and that teacher and that healer and that spokesperson for the remembering process of the ascension, and so we welcome anyone who is inspired to join our team and work with us. And we just want to say that we are just in divine gratitude of being able to have this platform in this time and space, because, you know, doing some past life regressions lately, I've realized that in other lifetimes, standing up here giving you the exact same message didn't end so well for me. So we have ascended quite a bit in order for us to stand up and have this free speech and be able to utilize my phone to talk to, you know, 17, 18 countries and be able to speak this truth. So the gratitude point of what we can do with what we have created right now is all we need. So thank you guys for coming. Enjoy your month, and more importantly, enjoy the storms.